The boy's ex-girlfriend found a new boyfriend in just a week, and he was ridiculed by his friends for being single or not. His friend asked him if he was still thinking about Zhang Wenwen. The boy quibbled and said no, claiming that he was also very popular. His friends did not believe it. If he really had a partner, how could he eat alone in a restaurant? His ex-girlfriend's words were like a needle, piercing all the boy's disguises and leaving him speechless for a while. Just when he was at a loss, a girl suddenly broke in, and the boy immediately had an idea. Asked the girl why she was late, and introduced to everyone that this was his new girlfriend Xiaoqian. His ex-girlfriend was dumbfounded. She never thought of it. The timid and cowardly boy who used to be able to find such a good-looking girlfriend. Her sense of superiority just now disappeared in an instant. What she didn't expect was that the girl attacked her as soon as she came up, and directly picked up the wine glass to toast her. This behavior directly earned back all the face for Su-yi, and also brought this embarrassing dinner to an end. No one knows that this girl who earned back face for Su-yi was actually not his sudden girlfriend, but his first love that had been separated from him for many years. Not long ago, Su-yi had just been admitted to the university's choreography department, and he was worrying about the material for his photography homework with his friends, when suddenly a red figure broke into his sight. This gave him an instant inspiration. He grabbed the camera and chased after it desperately, pressing the shutter while running, chasing all the way. He chased after him to the school gate, and the girl finally stopped. She turned to look at him and asked him to delete the photo. Su-yi explained that this was a serious photo and an assignment assigned by the photography teacher. He directly rejected the girl's request to delete the photo. Unable to stand the girl's insistence again and again, Su-yi wanted to do as she said. But the more he looked at the girl in the camera, the more familiar he became. "Have you seen it somewhere?" He asked directly. "Are you Gao Fong?" The girl heard the name. She was stunned for a moment on the spot, but quickly denied it, and viciously warned Su-yi, "Don't secretly photograph girls in the future." Su-yi thought that this matter would turn the page, but he didn't expect that fate had already laid the groundwork. He was hanging out at school. He saw the girl again on the bulletin board, and the name under the photo was clearly written Gao Xiaonan, and it turned out that she had changed her name. Su-yi had an idea and posted the photo he took on the school's announcement wall. He wanted to express his feelings through this. This attracted Gao Xiaonan's anger. She tore off the photo and angrily rushed into Su-yi's class, accusing him of not keeping his promises and not acting like a gentleman. She warned Su-yi to deal with it quickly, otherwise she would not let him go. After Gao Xiaonan said this, he turned around and left, causing a burst of discussion among the students. But the teacher was not angry, but motioned for Su-yi to chase after him quickly. Su-yi immediately understood. He made a gesture, grabbed his school bag, and rushed out. He caught up with Gao Xiaonan at the school gate, took out his treasured childhood photos, and desperately recalled the past, trying to awaken the memory of the two. But Gao Xiaonan refused to admit it until Su-yi mentioned something. It was 3 chocolates that were eaten, and Gao Xiaonan's eyes finally loosened. The word chocolate is like a key, opening the dusty past of the two of them for many years. When he was a child, Gao Xiaonan had a domineering personality and always loved to bully Su-yi. Her school uniform was torn that day. She forced Su-yi to exchange with her. Su-yi couldn't resist her, so he could only do it obediently. But on the way home, Gao Xiaonan suddenly found that the wine chocolate hidden in the pocket of her school uniform was missing, and she hurriedly turned back, only to see Su-yi eating with relish. Gao Xiaonan was angry and anxious, chased Su-yi for several streets, and finally went home crying aggrievely. Later, Su-yi learned that those 3 pieces of chocolate were the last birthday gift left to her by Gao Xiaonan's father during his lifetime. Su-yi bought the same chocolate with guilt. He wanted to make amends, but found that Gao Xiaonan had already transferred to another school. This small regret has since become a knot that Su-yi has hidden in his heart for many years, and it has also become an opportunity for the two to reunite. In order to make up for this regret, Su-yi specially invited Gao Xiaonan and her girlfriend to eat hot pot. He pretended to take out his bank card and prepared to check out, but was told by the waiter that the store only accepted cash. The meal cost a total of 106 yuan, but Su-yi rummaged through the entire wallet and couldn't come up with 100 yuan in cash. He wanted to call a friend for help, but found that his phone had already stopped. Seeing this, Gao Xiaonan bought the order without saying a word. Su-yi said that she would return the money to Gao Xiaonan in the future, and she took out another 100 yuan to Su-yi for phone bills. Su-yi said he was embarrassed, but he still took the money in his hand. At this time, Gao Xiaonan answered the phone. She hurriedly got into a black luxury car and left. Su-yi looked at the shadow of the car in the distance, full of curiosity. Seeing this, Gao Xiaonan's best friend quickly told him not to think crookedly. These little boys, seeing men who are stronger than themselves, and the women they didn't deserve, they began to think about people dirty. Su Yi didn't care on the surface, but turned around and asked his friend Deng Xiang about the owner of the luxury car. Deng Xiang told him that the owner's name was Zhou Tao. He is a notoriously rich second generation in school, and he is also a prodigal son, changing girlfriends faster than changing clothes. Su Yi didn't want to believe that a girl like Gao Xiaonan would easily get involved with Zhou Tao, but that night, he bumped into them again at the school gate. Su Yi waited until Zhou Tao left, and he plucked up the courage to stop Gao Xiaonan and asked her about her relationship with Zhou Tao. Unexpectedly, Zhou Tao turned around and walked back. Gao Xiaonan introduced him to Su Yi as her elementary school classmate. The two men greeted each other. Zhou Tao also plans to introduce Su Yi to job opportunities. The disdain between Zhou Tao's words was like a thorn in Su Yi's heart. Not to be outdone, Su Yi directly rejected Zhou Tao's proposal. But his stubbornness seemed to Deng Xiang to be nothing more than self-inflicted. Deng Xiang scolded him while drinking. He obviously had 100 ways to regain his dignity, but he chose the stupidest one. Su Yi became more and more aggrieved the more he listened, pouring wine one glass after another, and sent a message to Gao Xiaonan with the strength of the wine, asking her to stay away from people like Zhou Tao. Unexpectedly, not long after his news was sent, Gao Xiaonan rushed directly to the food stall to find him in person. Su Yi saw her and instantly frightened, and said, "I think girls like you should stay away from people like Zhou Tao." "What kind of girl is she? What kind of person is Zhou Tao?" Su Yi hurriedly explained, but he blurted out the words that hit her sore spot. "Is her life dependent on other men after her father is gone?" As soon as he finished speaking, Gao Xiaonan stood up suddenly, his chest rising and falling violently. Su Yi thought she would do it like she did when she was a child, but Gao Xiaonan just glared at him for 3 seconds, then turned around and left angrily. Later, Su Yi learned that his words hurt her hard. Gao Xiaonan's father died when she was young, leaving behind a large debt. Her mother took her to various cities and finally survived to high school, but her mother unfortunately passed away in a car accident. She changed her name to Gao Xiaonan just to get rid of the pain of the past and start her life again. The next day, Su Yi came to Gao Xiaonan to apologize, but Gao Xiaonan had a cold attitude and refused to accept it. Su Yi was completely panicked and said sorry guiltily. He begged for forgiveness and did not hesitate to kneel to her. She didn't stop it either. So silly. This seemingly derogatory sentence hides a hint of imperceptible tenderness. At this time, Gao Xiaonan suddenly sneezed, and Su Yi immediately handed over a tissue intimately. This meticulous thoughtfulness is exactly what Gao Xiaonan, an orphan, longs for most. She told him not to complicate things in the future. After hearing this, Su suddenly remembered the apology sign he had asked Deng Xiang to prepare downstairs. He hurriedly waved his hand to let Deng Xiang withdraw, but was still discovered by Gao Xiaonan. Gao Xiaonan walked to the window. She looked at the balloon downstairs, the corners of her mouth raised unconsciously, and most of the anger in her heart had already disappeared. Although she said that she hated these forms, the feeling of being taken to heart still warmed her heart. Later, the balloon hung on the tree and couldn't fall. Su Yi asked Gao Xiaonan to climb the tree together, but Gao Xiaonan couldn't resist him and could only follow him up the tree. The two sat on a branch, watching the sunset slowly fall, reminiscing about their childhood together. Gao Xiaonan told Su Yi that Su Yi chased her to take pictures that day. She is actually chasing her ex-boyfriend. Her ex-boyfriend was going to study in New York and broke up with her cruelly. She chased all the way to save it, but she was still left behind. After hearing this, Su quickly comforted her. "That doesn't look like true love. It's not a pity that they split." Su Yi said it easily, but Gao Xiaonan's heart was full of bitterness. It's not that she doesn't understand these truths, but the feelings she has really given are not so easy to let go. She told Su Yi, "There are always people who can't get out after breaking up. They are either not hurt deeply enough, or their new love is not good enough, or they are not long enough." At this time, Su Yi couldn't understand these truths at all. He just felt that it was a very happy thing to be able to stay with Gao Xiaonan. At this time, a little girl came over with flowers. She wanted to sell to them. This was a good opportunity to confess, but at the critical moment, Su Yi was cowardly. He bought all the flowers and gave them to Gao Xiaonan, but didn't say much. Gao Xiaonan held the flowers with a gentle smile on his face. When parting, she handed Su Yi a meal card and told him that he could enjoy an internal preferential price by going to the restaurant where he worked part-time. The next day, Su Yi came to dinner with a meal card, but unexpectedly ran into his former friends. His ex-girlfriend recently found a rich boyfriend and was very proud. She kept sarcastic about Su Yi. Just when Su Yi was speechless by his ex-girlfriend and his friends, Gao Xiaonan suddenly appeared and successfully rescued him as his girlfriend. After coming out of the restaurant, the evening breeze blew gently, and Gao Xiaonan said to Su Yi lightly, "A person's youth is like a fresh and delicious dish, although there are some differences, but the plate is always good." Su Yi asked her, "What dishes do you think his plate should be in?" She replied, "Tune mixed with tofu. The first bite of tune is not delicious, but once you get used to it, you will be particularly addicted." At that time, Su Yi didn't understand that Gao Xiaonan's intentions were hidden in this sentence. Their relationship is like tune mixed tofu, and the relationship may be full of running in at the beginning, but once they get to know each other deeply, they will find each other irreplaceable. After that, the two rode bicycles to the speedometer on the side of the road. Gao Xiaonan pulled Su Yi and asked him to punch and test his speed, saying that if he could exceed 35, then he was the chosen one. He will definitely be better than those friends in the future. Su Yi waved his fist with the mentality of giving it a try, and the number 37 was displayed on the speedometer. The two were so excited that they almost hugged, but reflexively turned into high fives. And this small encouragement also became an opportunity for Su Yi to change. Since then, Su Yi has completely changed his face, cut off his internet cafe membership card, uninstalled the online games he had played for 3 years, and signed up for the school's creative competition. He changed his past decadence and soaked in the library every day to consult materials and write scripts. He went from a scumbag who was a mess to a top student who was immersed in hard work. Gao Xiaonan also took the initiative to participate in the heroine of his first work, and the two worked together to finally win the creative competition in one fell swoop. But Su Yi never expected it. The only patron of this competition turned out to be Zhou Tao. When he learned the truth, he felt very uncomfortable. "If I had known, I wouldn't have participated in this competition." However, this competition also made Su Yi famous in school, and soon gained a lot of female fans. Xiaoqian, a flight attendant girl, ran over to toast, her eyes full of love and admiration. Gao Xiaonan saw through Xiaoyuan's mind at a glance, but Su Yi didn't notice it. His friends felt that out of politeness, they should go say hello. Su Yi Gong was about to refuse, but his friend walked over with a wine glass. What made Gao Xiaonan happy was that Su Yi still remembered her birthday. That night, Su Yi took Gao Xiaonan to the roof of the school and took out the gifts he had already prepared. When Gao Xiaonan opened the gift, she found out it was chocolate, and her heart trembled. Because everyone knows that giving chocolate represents liking. But she couldn't tell whether Su Yi's intentions were deliberate, or if he just wanted to make up for the regrets he had when he was a child. In fact, Gao Xiaonan also has a good impression of Su Yi, but Su's hesitation and retreat again and again made her heart full of uncertainty and always entangled. At this moment, the morning sun in the distance slowly rose, and a golden sunlight shone on the two of them, warm and dazzling. "Thank you, Su Yi." This is Gao Xiaonan's first ray of sunshine at the age of 20. After her parents left, her relatives continued to live their own lives, and she acted as if she had never been here. No one will care about her. Only Su Yi cared about her. Su Yi faced Gao Xiaonan's almost direct hint, but he still did not confess, and the relationship between the two once again stopped at friends. Soon after, Su Yi accepted Zhou Tao's invitation and took over the job of filming the wedding. He was still a little proud to be able to earn money from his rival. He didn't expect this to be Zhou Tao's trap. Zhou Tao took this opportunity to invite Gao Xiaonan to watch the concert together. Su Yi couldn't contact Gao Xiaonan, and no one answered Zhou Tao's call. Unable to rest assured, he asked Deng Xiang for a favor, and he rode his bicycle out. He rushed towards the concert venue, because he was too anxious, and fell hard. On the other hand, after watching the concert, Gao Xiaonan didn't want to owe Zhou Tao a favor and wanted to return the ticket money to him. But Zhou Tao smiled and asked her to treat her to a meal. He coaxed Gao Xiaonan into the car. Just as they were about to leave, Su Yi finally arrived. But before he could say a few words, Zhou Tao went directly up to the car window and drove away. Gao Xiaonan sat in the car and did not get out of the car from beginning to end. This scene is like a thorn. This penetrated into Su Yi's heart. While driving on the road, Lu Zhoudao mocked Su Yi for not knowing how to lift, and even couldn't help but swear. Gao Xiaonan couldn't listen anymore and asked Zhou Tao to stop on the spot. She bluntly said that Su Yi was her friend, and he might be a little stupid sometimes, but he wasn't really stupid. Then she found Su Yi at a noodle stall on the side of the road. As soon as Su saw her, his hanging heart finally fell to the ground. He was emotional. Thinking that Zhou Tao would take her to open a room, he asked his friend to call all the hotels around him, and found out in less than 10 minutes. Zhou Tao booked a double room. He is still a hotel VIP. He is a terrible man. Listening to Su Yi's hard explanation, Gao Xiaonan was moved again. But the weather was not beautiful. The rain was getting heavier and heavier. The school gate was closed, and there was only one hotel left. It was the one Zhou Tao booked before. Su Yi guessed that people like Zhou Tao must not even be bothered to leave the room. So he took Gao Xiaonan into that room. Both were stunned by what they saw. The room was ambiguously lit, and the air was filled with romance. But the young two didn't do anything. They just sat quietly at the head of the bed and watched TV. After a long time, Gao Xiaonan took the lead in breaking the silence and asked Su-yi what kind of girl he liked. Su-yi told her that if a girl asked this question, it meant that she liked you. Just when the relationship between the two was about to develop substantially, the police suddenly made rounds, and they were treated as suspicious people and taken to the police station for interrogation overnight. The next day, the incident spread throughout the school and made headlines. But Gao Xiaonan didn't care, because in her heart, she has long regarded Su-yi as her boyfriend. In the evening, she dressed up carefully and made an appointment to come out for dinner. Gao Xiaonan's girlfriend could tell at a glance that she had fallen in love. But when the two walked to the door of the restaurant, she heard the conversation between Su-yi and Xiaoyuan. The girl asked Su-yi if he was with Gao Xiaonan. Su-yi said that he and Gao Xiaonan were just good friends and buddies. This sentence was like a basin of ice water pouring at Gao Xiaonan's heart. She thought that night together. That day, they were watching the rising sun on the rooftop, and the sentence, "I care about you," he said, had already approached tacitly. She thought that she had hinted again and again, stepped forward again and again, and Su-yi could always understand her heart. But at this moment, he said, "Good friend," lightly, and he put all her expectations, all her heartbeats, all her secretly hidden likes, all returned to their original form. It turned out that in his eyes, all her proximity was just friendship. It turned out that she was dressed up carefully and full of joy, but it was just a self-deceptive misunderstanding. She even felt like a joke. She obviously likes him so much, but she can only be defined by him as a good buddy. At the dinner table, Gao Xiaonan drank glass after glass, repeatedly emphasizing that he and Su-yi were good friends. Su-yi looked at her abnormal appearance, feeling a little uneasy, what he wanted to explain. But when the words came to his lips, he didn't know what to say. He thought that not recognizing the relationship between the two was to protect Gao Xiaonan. After all, there were enough gossip about them in school, and he didn't want Gao Xiaonan to be criticized again. He never thought that what Gao Xiaonan wanted most was never this kind of careful protection, but has openly admitted that he dared to stand in front of everyone and say, "She is my girlfriend." Seeing that Su-yi did not express his position for a long time, Gao Xiaonan, who drank too much, said angrily in anger, "She wants him to be a bridesmaid when she gets married." Su-yi actually agreed. That night, both of them drank a lot of wine, and Gao Xiaonan vomited so much that he turned over the river. And the other girl, Xiaoyuan, was also drunk. Su-yi looked at the two drunken girls in front of him, and he had no way out, so he could only send Xiaoyuan home first. Seeing Xiaoyuan unconscious, he couldn't rest assured and decided to stay and keep vigil. He wanted to send a message to Gao Xiaonan to explain the situation. He was afraid of being misunderstood, so he finally lied that he had returned to the dormitory and asked his good brother to testify for him. But Gao Xiaonan knew for a long time that he lied because his brother and her best friend went to the hotel and didn't go back to the dormitory at all. In despair, Gao Xiaonan sent Su-yi one last message. That was her last chance to Su-yi. But Su-yi had already fallen asleep and didn't see the message. The relationship between the two has completely dropped to a freezing point, as if there is no possibility of recovery. Waking up the next day, Su-yi's mood fell to the bottom when he saw the text message. Xiaoyuan took this opportunity to confess to him, and the two were together in a daze. After Xiaoyuan became Su-yi's girlfriend, she has always felt very uneasy. She clearly knew that the person Su-yi loved in her heart was Gao Xiaonan. In order to completely separate Su-yi and Gao Xiaonan, Xiaoyuan deliberately found a senior named Chen Shi, and she introduced him to Gao Xiaonan. Chen Shi is gentle-looking, decent, and very considerate to Gao Xiaonan. Gao Xiaonan is at an emotional trough at the moment. She faced Chen Shi's concern and did not refuse, and in this way, the two slowly came together. The original small group of three became three couples, and each of them hides their own thoughts in their hearts. At that time, maybe they can't tell whether they fall in love because they really like it, or because they are temporarily frustrated, or because they want to escape reality. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye, it's graduation day. That day, Gao Xiaonan took the stage to speak as a student representative, but at this moment, a harsh voice in the venue suddenly came. "Gao Xiaonan, where did you get your face standing here? Don't you know what you do yourself? Don't you feel sick? You are pure on the surface, but behind your back, you are a mistress, which is extremely disgusting." This sentence was like a thunderbolt that exploded at the scene. Gao Xiaonan was stunned on the spot, and she didn't know how she had become a mistress in other people's mouths. It wasn't until later that she knew that Chen Shi had a girlfriend outside for a long time, and she is just a tool for Chun to relieve loneliness. Kept in the dark, she just took a bite of the black pot for no reason. After Su-yi learned the truth, he rushed into Chun Shi's classroom like crazy, regardless of the risk that he might be expelled from school. He beat Chen Shi severely. After this farce, the relationship between Su Yi and Xiaoqian has come to an end. Xiaoqian deliberately introduced the two of them to each other. She never believed in any pure friendship between men and women. Su Yi's heart was full of regret. He regretted his cowardice and evasion at the beginning, regretted that he did not see Xiaoqian's mind clearly, and regretted that he had caused Gao Xiaonan to suffer so much harm. When he finally found Gao Xiaonan, he learned that she had made up her mind to leave. She gave up staying in school as a teacher because she no longer had the face to face the teachers and students of the whole school. Su Yi looked at her haggard appearance and felt distressed. He wanted to persuade her to stay, but the words turned into a quarrel. She shouted that he didn't need to worry. No one needed to worry. She didn't need it before. She doesn't need it now, and she doesn't need it in the future. He asked her if she regretted being friends with him. After he got the answer, Su turned around and left without looking back. At that moment, all the grievances, inferiority, and unwillingness exploded. He was angry that Gao Xiaonan didn't understand his clumsiness and gentleness. Angry that she obviously needed to rely on but pushed him away, and even more angry that he himself clearly loved him to the core. He didn't even dare to say, "I like you," and he could only end up embarrassed as a friend. In fact, that day, they all turned back, and they both hoped to get each other's retention, but in the end they still regretted missing each other. Until he walked around the corner and saw the speedometer. Su Yi's suddenly realized that his silence just now and his cowardice just now would make him lose a sincere relationship. He chased after him like crazy, but the bus had already gone away, leaving only the empty streets, and is full of regret. The following year, the two of them completely broke off contact and went to different lives. Su Yi found an internship job at the provincial television station, and he worked hard to improve himself. After the internship, he successfully joined a well-known media company in Hong Kong with his excellent performance. He started a new life. Gao Xiaonan left the city where the school was located, ran around, worked several jobs, and saved money, and finally paid off the debts left by her father. But in this strange city, she was lonely, with no relatives or friends. She felt that the road ahead was vast, and she was physically and mentally exhausted. She decided to give up everything here and return to her hometown. Before leaving, she took the initiative to call Su Yi. Su Yi bought the fastest plane ticket and flew back from Hong Kong. But when he arrived, Gao Xiaonan was already preparing to take the train home. Su Yi persuaded her to stay, go to the TV station together, become a reporter, and realize her original wish. But Gao Xiaonan told Su Yi that they were different. This sentence completely extinguished Su Yi's hopes. Before leaving, Su Yi gave Gao Xiaonan a box of wine chocolates, which he specially brought from Hong Kong. Gao Xiaonan took the box and pulled out a bitter smile from the corner of his mouth. She knew in her heart that this was not an ordinary gift, but a debt that Su had been in for more than 10 years. This is the heart he brought back from Hong Kong across the mountains and seas. But Gao Xiaonan knew better that Su Yi made up for the regrets of childhood, which was not the love she wanted. In fact, what she was waiting for was never chocolate, nor was it the realistic planning of the TV station together, but his straightforward confession, his retention of "you don't go." But Su didn't say anything until the end. She could only board the train with regrets. After the train started, Gao Xiaonan sat by the window and opened the box of chocolates, only to find that there was a letter in the box. "Gao Xiaonan, if you see this letter, I shouldn't have been able to keep you. Remember what you said to me? Everyone's youth is a fresh and delicious dish, although there are some differences, but the plate is always good." Because of this sentence, I hope my experience is enough for my youth. Now I give you this sentence too. You have always been my role model. Although I regret that you insist on going back to your hometown, I believe that no matter where you are, you will definitely get better and better. After reading Su Yi's letter, Gao Xiaonan couldn't stop crying. Just when she was crying heartbroken, someone suddenly handed her a tissue. "Is the chocolate delicious?" That's Su Yi. He still felt that she should stay. They can work together and will definitely live well. At this moment, all Gao Xiaonan's persistence, stubbornness, and disguise collapsed instantly, and his heart was sour and hot. It turned out that Su Yi didn't understand. He didn't just treat her as a buddy, and he wasn't unaware. It turned out that his silence, his anger, the chocolate he specially brought back, this is all his clumsy and sincere intentions. Those moments she thought were self-inflicted, those grievances she silently swallowed turned out to have responded. She suddenly understood that there was never unrequited love or misunderstanding between them. but they were too timid and afraid of losing. And this letter was like a beam of light that illuminated all her uneasiness and expectations, making her extremely sure for the first time on the speeding train. Su-yi really liked her, and she finally didn't have to be alone. Later, Gao Xiaonan followed Su-yi's advice and stayed. They were admitted to the TV station together. They rented a house with a monthly rent of 800 yuan, which was very small and dark, with only a few minutes of sunlight shining in every day. Su-yi promised Gao Xiaonan that he would definitely take her to live in a house with plenty of sunlight in the future. Gao Xiaonan looked at him affectionately, full of longing for the future. They cleaned the house together, moved together, and sat on the sofa together basking in the short sunlight every day. Looking at Gao Xiaonan's beautiful appearance beside him, Su-yi's heart throbbed, and he couldn't help but kiss him. Gao Xiaonan did not dodge. However, this kiss was just his fantasy after all. After entering the TV station, Su-yi was assigned to the entertainment team, and his daily work was to focus on celebrity gossip and report on some insignificant trivial matters. He felt that such work was meaningless. This was not in line with his original intention, and soon he had a conflict with a leader because of different work concepts. After the conflict, he was marginalized and did not receive a commission for months, and his salary was barely enough to sustain himself. But Gao Xiaonan is like a fish in water at work. She herself is an excellent and hardworking girl, and with her own efforts, she quickly made achievements and was recognized by her leaders and colleagues. However, on this day, she unexpectedly learned from the leader that her interview was not smooth. It was Su-yi, who had the first interview score, who insisted on tying her up, so he forcibly kept her. At the beginning, Su-yi told the interviewer that the two of them would stay together if they wanted to stay, and if they wanted to leave, they would go together. At the beginning, Su-yi's score was the first place. She was slightly close. They left her behind in order to keep Su-yi, who knew that after she entered the TV station, she had more stamina than him. Gao Xiaonan didn't expect Su-yi to do so much for her silently. In order to repay Su-yi's kindness, Gao Xiaonan, who had saved enough money, rented a house. It was a spacious and bright house, and she helped Su-yi fulfill her original dream in advance. When the two were visiting the house together, the power suddenly went out. In the dark, Gao Xiaonan plucked up the courage to ask Su-yi. She asked him if he wanted to go out to live. Su-yi said he had no money to go out and open a house. Su-yi looked at her back, his heart full of guilt. He knew that Gao Xiaonan had hinted very clearly, but he still didn't have the courage to agree. Poverty can really make a man feel inferior and cowardly. He was afraid that he would not be able to give Gao Xiaonan happiness and the life she wanted, so he chose to escape. The next day, Su-yi submitted an application to the director and took the initiative to request to go to other places to shoot documentaries. Why he did it? On the one hand, he didn't know how to face Gao Xiaonan, and on the other hand, he also wanted to make some achievements, and he would have enough confidence to stand in front of Gao Xiaonan with confidence. But he forgot that the already fragile feelings could not stand the test of a different place. During his days filming documentaries in other places, the two rarely contacted each other because of signal problems. Gao Xiaonan worked hard every day, facing all the difficulties in life alone, slowly getting used to the days without Su-yi, and slowly putting away the expectations in his heart. One day, Gao Xiaonan suddenly had a severe stomach ache and was admitted to the hospital. And when she needed to be taken care of the most, her ex-boyfriend He-jun, whom she hadn't seen for a long time, appeared. When Su-yi came back from filming the documentary and was ready to celebrate her birthday, he found another man in the house. Faced with the scene in front of him, Su-yi did not rush into question, but turned around and ran away. He didn't dare to face it. He didn't dare to hear Gao Xiaonan's explanation, and he didn't dare to accept the fact that he missed it again. Gao Xiaonan heard the movement. She immediately chased after her. When he learned that the man was Gao Xiaonan's ex-boyfriend, Su-yi's heart completely sank. At this moment, the pain, jealousy, and unwillingness in his heart all surged up. She asked him to go back, but he refused. He didn't want to disturb them. This day is Gao Xiaonan's birthday. In the face of Gao Xiaonan's request, Su-yi not only did not restrain himself, but began to wish her a happy birthday in a strange way. This also made her unable to help it after enduring it for a long time. Gao Xiaonan asked Su-yi, "Don't you think this is very naive?" "He is not only naive but also cowardly. He will only run away." But Su-yi asked, "What did he say when he went back? Say welcome to her ex-boyfriend?" Gao Xiaonan felt that their relationship was very strange. She asked Su-yi, "What is the relationship between them?" This is the first time Gao Xiaonan has asked this question so bluntly. But this time, Su-yi still chose to escape. Gao Xiaonan looked at his silent appearance and couldn't help but smile. It's all now, and he refuses to take even a step forward. Hearing Su Yi's request to open a house, Gao Xiaonan broke out and scolded him for having a sick brain. Su Yi, who was angry, also completely broke out. He began to count Gao Xiaonan's past over the years, all kinds of setbacks she encountered emotionally. She was broken up by her ex-boyfriend like a cliff. She was almost taken to open a house by Zhou Tao. She was deceived by her senior Chen Shi, and she inexplicably became a third party. He said that Gao Xiaonan was the stupidest and most naive person. But what qualifications do you have to point fingers at my feelings? Su Yi was choked by this question and was speechless. Looking at Gao Xiaonan's departing back, he said emotionally that he would regret for the rest of his life. He treats her as a friend, so he will point fingers at you. So they're just friends. Okay. I tell you, from now on, we are not friends. Gao Xiaonan's voice was very soft, but it was like a knife that had been quenched on ice, straight into Su Yi's heart, and instantly smashed his strong decency and disguise. He looked at Gao Xiaonan's back as he turned around decisively. His remorse and despair surged wildly in Su Yi's heart. He wanted to rush up and grab her, to confess all his feelings. He wanted to tell her that he didn't want to be just a friend at all, but all his courage was completely shattered at this moment, leaving only powerlessness and despair. Su Yi thought that after that quarrel, they would reconcile in a few days, just like before. But he didn't expect that this time they were really completely separated. A year later, Su Yi received Gao Xiaonan's wedding invitation. At first, he didn't want to go because he didn't want to see his beloved woman marry someone else. He packed all his luggage and prepared to ride out of the sad city. But while waiting for the red light, he accidentally saw the words that had inspired him. Su Yi's whole body shook suddenly. He seemed to be struck by a thunderbolt, and he finally realized that the most frightening and regrettable thing in his life was that he never dared to say that sincerity to Gao Xiaonan. That simple sentence, like a key, opened up the courage he had suppressed for more than 10 years. So he made a bold decision. However, he did not grab the marriage as expected. He appeared at the wedding scene wearing the bridesmaid dresses he had agreed with Gao Xiaonan. When Gao Xiaonan saw him, a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. Then she showed a gentle smile. She never thought that the jokes she casually told when she was angry would be remembered by Su Yi until now, and she still cashed in such a ridiculous and serious way. At this moment, the emotions that had been accumulated in Gao Xiaonan's heart for many years surged in an instant. There was shock. There was sourness. She has even more regrets in her heart. She clearly knew that Su Yi's bridesmaid dress was not a joke, not a blessing, but his bravery in being late for more than 10 years, which was proof that he finally dared to face his heart. And it was also his most helpless farewell to this. In those years, their temptations, approaches, quarrels, and misses flashed quickly in her mind. She suddenly understood that it was not that they didn't love, but they all became brave too late, and they began to understand too late. The person in front of her is obviously the person she wants to rely on the most throughout her youth. In the end, he could only stand at her wedding as a bridesmaid. Gao Xiaonan endured the frustration in his eyes and showed a calm smile to Su Yi. There was no resentment or unwillingness in her smile, only heavy relief and distress. After all, they missed it and finished this youth that was very much like love in the most gentle and cruel way. In fact, many of us, like Su Yi, have been timid, hesitant, and withdrawn in love. Because I love too much, I am afraid of losing. We dare not have it because we are afraid of losing. Because I didn't dare to have it, I ended up missing the person I love the most. We naively think that companionship is the longest confession, but we forget that love needs a clear answer. No one wants a tacit riddle. Those who missed it, those unspoken words, and those regrets hidden in our hearts will eventually become the most precious and unforgettable memories in our lives. It also reminds us that the next time we meet someone we like, we must be brave and don't let hesitation become a regret for a lifetime.